Welcome to the Royal Armouries in Leeds, where the battle today is to attract the attention of developers and investors. Lincolnshire, Tees Valley, Bradford, Liverpool, each area has deployed their finest to talk, promote and convince. The annual UK Real Estate Investment and Infrastructure Forum is a kind of speed date for finance. Cumbria is well represented. Both councils, the enterprising agency and new combined authority, along with business leaders, have all made the trip here. So what's on offer? How does Cumbria rate against the others? And how soon before we know if this campaign has been worthwhile? Welcome to Northern Lights.
The demand is there. There are investable opportunities, without any doubt. There's support available through Team Barrow.
David Beebe, Enterprising Cumbria's Growth Board Chair, explained why they were all there. Excellent stuff. Well, we've come outside for some fresh air here at the Armouries in Leeds. Very much a battle, it seems, for people's attention here and also for finance as well. You've been here for, I imagine, the entire duration of this event. What kind of reaction have you had so far?
Well, the fantastic thing, I mean, the really good news is we clocked how many visitors we had yesterday. We're in a much better position than we were last year. And we've had as many visitors yesterday as we had over the 3 days last year. So we're already ahead, massively ahead, which is just brilliant because there's so much going on in Cumbria. And obviously this is a place where lots of people come. They're all trying to attract investment, as we are. So we're competing with everybody else, but trying to get money into Cumbria. And of course, I think the new combined authority with a mayor on the horizon also has brought Cumbria to the attention as well. So there's a lot of good things going on.
And the site, I mean, you are right by one of the main entrances, so people have to channel across. There's a very deep dock over there as well, so it's quite. So
Absolutely,
you've been very well located.
We thought about putting a speed bump across the pathway or something to force people in. But no, we're doing well, very well. Yeah.
Why are you here? I mean, obviously, it's important, and in the economy at the moment, everyone's fighting to try and get interest, investment. Yeah. Cumbria's got a good story to tell. About Team Barrow, we're just hearing how it's going. So, I mean, some would say that when it comes to sort of doing okay, Cumbria's got its fair share of government investment and interest. Why does Cumbria have to come here, and what do you hope to gain from it?
Because I'm not convinced Cumbria does get its fair share. Right. First of all, so I think so that's a real challenge. Secondly, even if we were getting our fair share, I'd be saying we should get more than our fair share. We're a huge geography. That we're roughly half the landmass of the northwest of England, but we're only 7% of the population. And lots of things when people are dishing out money, they do it around the population. And yet we have we have all sorts of things that we have to deal with that are not related to our population. So we need to be getting more than our fair share, and I'm not convinced we're getting our fair share. So that's number one. But there's a load of things. We've just had the Team Barrow session, as you've just talked about. There's massive demand. We know we've got the jobs. We know we've got the jobs for the next 30 years in Barrow, and yet we haven't got the infrastructure to support that. So, and we've got the Team Barrow funding, but that's the tip of the iceberg. We need the rest of the funding. So we need to attract private investment into Cumbria. But we've got loads of other projects around the county that need to also attract investment. And we've got a lot of investable projects, so we need to raise our bar and raise the attention of the investors.
Among those whose ears did prick up was the managing director of the Architects Journal, Will Hurst. You've heard a bit about Barrow. What do you think?
Well, it sounds like a really interesting area for regeneration, and I know from my own work as a journalist that there are many towns on our coasts that need regeneration and are deprived, and there's lots of opportunity, and it sounds with BAE Systems and other big employers that there is perhaps more opportunity with Barrow, for example, than some other coastal communities.
From your perspective, is there a vibe about Barrow, the Northwest, Cumbria? Is it a place that's on your radar?
Yeah, that's why I came along this morning, because I just heard this is a really interesting place. Maybe our organisation, as a voluntary organisation that's seeking to push positive change and government reform, should be going there. So I'm thinking now that we really should, in the next few months, organise a study trip. We were set up in London, but we've expanded and realised that the issue we need to tackle is mainly outside of London. So we've done lots of study trips to Bristol and Birmingham and Manchester and other smaller towns and places, and it sounds like Barrow should be next on our list, really.
And what advice would you give to people? You've heard, I think the council leader was speaking, or the council chief exec was speaking there about what's happening at the moment, demolition of a theatre, and massive plans about new houses being built as well. I think several thousand new houses being built. What advice would you give to them from a professional perspective about the way that path is trod?
I think it should just be, it's really important to get it right and to think through, the best way of doing things. And from our perspective, that is to reuse the existing buildings as much as possible. Obviously, there are sometimes examples where a building is beyond repair and just can't be saved. But a lot of the time, with the right skills, we think it can be. And that's a much lower carbon way of doing things. And indeed, to fit within our carbon targets as a country, we actually need to be doing this and not building 1.5 million new homes, as it were, but actually adapting our existing building stock. And that way, we can do things sustainably, and a lot of the time that's what communities want as well, because they actually don't want the disruption, the noise, the air pollution that goes with demolition and rebuild. And obviously, often, as you know, that can take many years. Sometimes things get stranded, something starts and then it doesn't keep going because of economic cycles. So actually, the reuse option is better in many ways.
Right, guys, looking towards me.
This time next year, we'll be counting down to the arrival of the Tour de France in Carlisle and Keswick. Yorkshire hosted the Grand Depart in 2014, and the event is said to have generated more than £100 million for the regional economy, as well as attracting over 113,000 international visitors and roadside crowds of nearly 5 million.
I think if it changes one child's life, because let's not, think it goes through quite a few deprived areas and parts of Cumbria. I think this has the power to regenerate and change a generation's lives.
The presence of Sir Bradley Wiggins brought a measure of stardust to what could have been a sober-suited business forum. An exclusive Sir Bradley Wiggins Cumbria 2027 Pro Cycle experience, sponsored by a construction company, allowed lycra-clad investors, developers and partners to get together with the Olympian, who explained to visitors what he thinks a tour could do for Cumbria.
Kids and the youngsters growing up, how do you think they're going to see this, and how inspired are they going to be? Do you think?
Well, I think it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and the tour doesn't come to your back garden, too often. So there's an opportunity there for a generation to be inspired by watching the Tour de France come by, and it is quite a spectacle to see it in person. And depending where you stand on the road, you only see it for 3 or 4 seconds. But that 3 or 4 seconds, certainly for me, when I went to Paris to watch the last stage of the Tour de France in 1993, when I was 13, had a huge impact on me. I went back to London, and knew what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. So from that point of view, the power of it is huge.
So you can still remember exactly that moment?
Absolutely, yeah. And I even gave that a thought when I rode onto the Champs-Élysées in yellow, leading Mark Cavendish now in 2012. I could distinctly remember when the first time we came up the Rue de Rivoli, looking where I stood 19 years earlier to watch the 1993 edition.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was that powerful.
Another race, which is quietly underway, is the bid to become the first mayor of Cumbria. Walking around the exhibition site, Manchester, Liverpool and the rest were showcasing the kind of clout which next year Cumbria could have.
Felix Kumi Ampofu, Director for Inclusive Economy, Skills and Culture at the Combined Authority in West Yorkshire.
Tell us, when it comes to being involved in a mayoral authority like West Yorkshire, what difference does it make than having a mayor?
It's incredibly important. I've had the privilege of working for organisations like this before there was a mayor, and then after having a mayor in South Yorkshire and here in West Yorkshire, and it makes a huge difference. The office of the mayor is maturing as a concept in this country, especially as a metro mayor. We've not really had that here for a long time compared to places like America and others where it's really understood and you don't have to explain to people what the role of a mayor is. It's evolving and it's maturing here. It plays a key role as a central convening point for an area in thinking through what is needed, what the opportunities are, and what is possible. It brings places and people together just to convene around issues. Our mayors really famous for always saying place over politics. The office is really important for just bringing together the key things that matter in a place without, the need to politicize it, and just to work through what is possible and what is not. So it's of significant importance in a place. And as I was saying earlier on, at key moments, whether it's for good or for ill, that office can be again a central rallying point. So you've seen in the press over time, whether it's our mayor here in West Yorkshire or in other places, when something has happened, like around the Olympics, or where something not so good has happened, whether they're riots or whatever, that the office is able to bring people together to address the issue or to make the most of an opportunity that may arise. So I think it's really important, and especially in the north, where for many years we've talked about the need to focus investment and attention on the place. The office of a mayor gives us yet another important spokesperson or advocacy role to attract that investment. He opens doors when we travel. He opens doors that you will not have open to you if you did not have that office. So for us, it makes a huge difference.
In a place like Cumbria, it's known for having a big defence industry. Barrow builds Britain's submarines. Sellafield, of course, nuclear is a massive industry as well. They both employ upwards of 10,000 people, so it's got a big kind of employment base as it is.
Absolutely.
What would be your advice then to the incoming combined authority, which has just been formed? What do they need to do to really get the benefit of having a mayoral authority? What's the kind of must thing they should do?
I mean, there are many things, but I think it's really important very early days for especially the local authorities that are coming together to form the combined authority to agree, have a shared understanding of why they're doing it and what they want from it and what role they want the authority to play. Because otherwise you spend a lot of time once you've got it just dancing around the chair saying, I should be doing this, you shouldn't be doing that, this is our role, this is not our role. And the imperative, the key things that need to be done yesterday. So I think this is a really golden opportunity for any area that is setting up a combined authority to use this time to bring the key players in the system, in that space, together to agree why they need it, what role they want it to play, and how they will each then work with the new entity to make it function, because in the end it exists for their collective good, but they need to agree to do that and to enable this new entity to play its role.
Good afternoon, everybody. If I can just invite you all to take your seats, we'll be getting started in just a minute or two, okay?
Back in the Cumbrian camp, and there was a constant stream of passers-by, as well as those attending the presentations on tourism, AI and a wide range of other subjects. Taking stock, the leader of West London Furnace Council, Jonathan Brooke, told me that the third year in attendance meant Cumbria was able to demonstrate a drumbeat of activity to developers and investors.
We do have to shout, we have to be at the table with these the Metro mayors, and now, as I say, we have a combined authority. We are able to be in those places where those really significant conversations are happening. I was here on Monday for the Great North Investment Summit, and again, we have the opportunity to be part of that, and there is a real sense of, again, growing momentum across the north, that we can and naturally will compete against each other, but collectively we're stronger together, and a real sense of identity and sense of purpose. Things like the Mayor's Combined Authority for the North putting a proposition to government that we ought to hold the Olympics in the North. Now that wouldn't have happened before, so a whole raft of great opportunities. It is very much a long-term game, and in terms of people who are coming and engaging with us, I think whether it's Team Barrow, one example. These projects are multi-year projects. It's a given that it's going to take some time to really see that delivery on the ground, see those housing developments, the businesses really coming and expanding. That isn't done in a year or 2 years, it is done over a 5 to 10 year period. And again, there's sense here that we are building that momentum.
A sentiment echoed by Councillor Denise Rollo, Cumberland Council's executive member for Sustainable, Resilient and Connected Places.
Yeah, absolutely, because people know that the challenge is what we've got in Cumbria. And obviously, like Sir Bradley Wiggins before was saying, it's going to be a huge opportunity, not just for, tourism. It's an opportunity for the children that live here that can be inspired. And that's what we want to do. We need to inspire more young people, and we need to get them to look at what skills that they can do when they leave school, because there's plenty of opportunity for everybody.
It was inspiring. It was a great guest to invite. I mean, obviously, what do you say about the future? This is what I imagine is concerning you and your colleagues, is that making sure that after today, when you all go back to Cumbria, that the conversations you've had, the contacts that you've made, pays off, it's dividends.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think everybody's here. There's such a positive buzz around the place because everybody's here to do good, to do better. And it's and that's what we need to do. We need to share these conversations, and we need to do better.
We may never know for definite what impact attending this kind of event brings directly for Cumbria. But for David Beebe, FOMO, a fear of missing out, is something he and others worry about more than the time and expense of attending events like this.
It's always a challenge because, I used to have a customer who used to say, you've got to put your bread on the water, the water's there. If you don't put your bread on the water, you won't catch fish. Some of these things you're never quite sure how they're going to work out. What you do know is you won't get the attention if you don't come. People talk about you can do a year's worth of meetings in 3 days. We've met some interesting investors already. We were talking to an investor last year, why are you interested in Cumbria this year? Because they're doing something in Cumbria. Because of the session I attended last year. And one of the young people said something that really sparked and made me think I must do something in Cumbria. Because we have a young people's panel. And so, that's what attracted him. You can never tell what's going to attract people in, but if you're not there and you're not putting out what we've got to offer, you certainly won't get it.
So you've got to be in it to win it.
You've got to be in it to win it, and that's like having a mayor. If you're not at the table, you don't stand any chance. And we're now at the table with having a mayor, which is really, really important. And being here is like being at the table. If we're not here, people don't know about us.
So 3 days, thousands of visitors, and the showbiz sparkle of an Olympian. As Cumbrians head for home, hope is that contacts, conversations and interests will soon pay off, and the campaign here at the Armouries will have been worthwhile. I'm Nigel Thompson. Thanks for listening to Northern Lights.